cheeky dogs! My name's Margie and I'm an Aussie currently living in America. Today's video is going to be a breakdown of Bluey Season 1 episode Shadowlands. I'm super excited to be breaking down all of the Season 1 episodes for you guys and showing you all the Australian references as well as all the hidden Easter eggs that maybe you might have missed. So if you're interested in seeing more of that, don't forget to hit that like button down below as well as that subscribe and bell notification so you know when I'm bringing out more Bluey videos. With that being said, let's just jump straight into this episode because it was such a fun episode. However, it was also the first episode that we did not see Bandit or Bingo, but it was the debut episode for Coco, Coco's Mom, Snickers, and Snickers' Mom as well. Something interesting too about Coco's Mom is her name is Bella, which we find out in future episodes, but Bella has actually been voiced by two different voice actresses. So in this Season 1 episode, she is voiced by Xiaoling Tang, who is a local Brisbane actress. And there's also a little bit of a theory as to why it is that Chili is hanging out with Coco's mom and Snickers' mom. And we know that from Baby Race that they were all in the same baby mum group together. So perhaps they stayed friends. Coco, who already has 8 other kids, perhaps gave them the recommendation of all going to the Steiner-style school together where they have Calypso as a teacher. So maybe that's why they all go to school together as well. So some fun little background theories there. Now, an interesting thing about this episode is the fact that the Shadowland game is a lot like the game The Floor is Lava, but just played outside. And The Floor is Lava is also another game that we do eventually end up seeing in Bluey in the episode Postman. This is, however, the first Bluey episode that got its first board game. And the really funny thing is that the lesson of this episode is basically that the rules are there because the rules are what make the game fun. But funnily enough, the rules in the actual board game apparently are super confusing and difficult and don't make the game fun at all, and it's incredibly hard to set up. So it's quite funny that the board game itself kind of managed to defeat the whole purpose of the actual episode. An interesting thing as well is the game that they play at the start and the end of this episode, What's the Time, Mr. Wolf, is a really popular Australian kids game. We played all the time growing up. But it's not the same, I guess, all around the world. On Reddit, a lot of people mentioned that one, either they'd never heard of this game before, or that they knew a different version of it saying, what's the time, Mr. Fox, or what's the time, Dr. Wolf, or they just had the sort of red light, green light version of it. Another kind of Aussie reference though, of course, is food, and that is the lamingtons that we see. I remember when I watched this episode, I was kind of frustrated that they said cupcakes and that Chili didn't say lamingtons instead, because lamingtons is like the Aussie version of cupcakes, basically. They are a super Australian food, and they are super delicious. It's a sponge cake rolled in chocolate icing, then rolled in coconut as well. It's the most Aussiest version of a cake you could get, aside from maybe pavlova, but there's some dispute about New Zealand and us over that. We then also have a reference to Australian sports with cricket. We see the cricket net and a cricket bat at the very start of the episode when they're playing What's the Time, Mr. Wolf, but we also see the girls as they're running across the park. We see more cricket bats, shin guards, and gloves, which then leads me into the next kind of Easter egg, and that is the location of this park. So it has been confirmed by Ludo Studios that the location is in Kalinga Park. If you haven't seen Bluey locations over on Instagram, definitely go and check them out. They are fantastic at finding all the real life locations as well. And that's how we know that that's where this episode is set at. And we know for a fact that they do have scouts that go around Brisbane to find locations that they can draw off, just like Japanese anime does as well. Now, another really Australia/Brisbane reference is the bus that the girls see that's driving past that lets Bluey kind of jump from one shadow to the other. Now that bus is the actual Brisbane city bus, except for one little difference. The Brisbane buses have a kite on the side of them, but the Bluey-verse Brisbane buses have a dog collar instead. One of my next favorite Easter eggs is Snickers' hat. Now this is the typical Legionnaire style hat that all of us had to wear in primary school. I remember hating this hat, but Snickers' hat is the iconic gold and green colors, or yellow and green colors, of Australia, and of course he has a little green Australia on the top of the hat as well. My next favorite Easter egg as well is the saying, "Run your little sausage dog legs," that Bluey yells out to Snickers because he's a sausage dog and he has little legs. But this line actually comes up again in a future episode, in the episode Typewriter. Now, some sort of insect facts about Brisbane and Australia. The bird poop that Bluey thinks that she sees is actually a caterpillar. There's a lot of bird poop style caterpillars, I guess, around Australia and Brisbane, but in particular, people think that this one is the orchid swallowtail caterpillar that turns into a butterfly. Our second Australian or worldwide insect reference, I should say, is the water boatman that Snickers says. Now, when I first heard this episode, I thought the water boatman was like the people on the paddle boards that they were maybe talking about, but Silly me, it's actually an insect in real life. You might have seen them because they are found around the world, and of course they're bugs that can walk on water. We do of course have some kids jokes and some dog jokes in the show, with all three of the kids howling because they want cupcakes and they can't get across. Typically in Bluey, in later episodes, we only really see the really young kids, like around the age of 1, 2, and 3, making more dog-like sounds. But I do love it when we see some of the older kids sort of reverting back to that dogness inside of them and howling. And the last really cool Easter egg is the line that Chili says to Snickers when she tells him that he's got it made in the shade. First part, it's a joke, of course. Shade, Shadowlands, they're running around in the shade, so that's really cool, kind of pun, I guess. But also, this is a really popular saying back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It was even a really popular song in the 70s. And we know, based on a lot of the timeline stuff that I've done with theories, that Chili was born around the 70s as well and grew up in the 80s. So she probably heard this a lot, so it's kind of like an iconic saying from her age. Overall for me, this episode is probably a 3 out of 5 realistically. It doesn't have any of like the really traditional Easter eggs, and I feel like they so easily could have put the tennis ball in with the cricket bats or a long dog in somewhere. So it doesn't have any of those like really cool Easter eggs in it, but there's still a lot of like Australian Brisbane references, which I like. And the overall idea of the rules are there to make the game fun, I think is maybe a good lesson as well. But let me know, what would you guys give this out of 5 long dogs? And also, did you spot any other Easter eggs that I didn't spot? Let me know in that comment section down below. If you liked this video as well, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I really super duper appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving my channel recently. It makes it so much fun to make these videos for you because I love Bluey and I know that you guys do too. Also, if you didn't hit that subscribe button at the start, don't forget to hit it right now. I will be doing a lot more Bluey content, not only with breakdown videos, but also real life ones in Brisbane, Australia, as I will be going to Brisbane, Australia very shortly with my family. I will be posting also a lot of content on my TikTok and Instagram, so details for that, Aussie Girl Margie, just there. So make sure you go and check me out on those 2 platforms, as I do plan on doing a lot of stuff over the months of August and September as well. But until my next video, I have picked out a few other ones that maybe you might like to watch, and I will see you cheeky dogs in another video. Mwah! Bye! If you don't live in Australia like me, but you want to watch Season 3, I made a whole video about how you can watch Bluey Season 3 worldwide. I go through it step by step as to how to use a NordVPN to watch Bluey online for free. Note this video is not sponsored, and I'm an affiliate though with NordVPN. It's what I use so that I can watch Season 3 and make all these videos about it. So I go through how to set up your Nord account, as well as how to set up that it's in Australia, so then your internet thinks that you are in Australia as well. And then we go over to the ABC iView website for Australia, where Bluey Season 3 is aired, how to set up your account on that as well, and then where to go on the website so that you can access Bluey Season 3. And you can also access Season 1 and Season 2, including the episodes Dad Baby as well as Teasing, which you can't always find on Disney depending on what country that you live in.